Hey, y'all, welcome back to the Auto Repair Marketing Podcast. Listen, I am so excited today. I think this might be our first panel discussion. And yes, if you're following Brian Walker on Facebook, he is still living his whole best life out in Colorado overlanding. So you got me today as your host, Kim Walker. But first, let me thank our sponsors over at Repair Pal. Thank you, Repair Pal, for sponsoring the Auto Repair Marketing Podcast. Thank you to our friends over there. We, as shop owners, were part of the Repair Pal certified network when we had our shop. You can learn more about them at repairpal.com/shops. So, with all of that said, as our listeners know, we have the Auto Repair Marketing Facebook group, the Mastermind, and I love it. I'm Mama Bear in there. I'm super protective about who we let in and not allowing solicitation and all that kind of stuff so we can have real conversations. And on my personal Facebook feed, a friend of mine here locally in our community, Parker Larison, who is an attorney, he had a post up that was lighting up our whole community. It was being shared like crazy. And it was all about him putting something out there where you could nominate a local teacher. You would comment on his post with a picture of your favorite teacher, their name, and then they would do a drawing and I think they gave away um, $200 to 5 different local teachers. And they just announced it yesterday. So he got a couple of rounds of great publicity from his first post that was shared, I think hundreds of times, actually. I need to go look and see. But then when the announcement came out, he got more publicity or local chatter when that was shared again. So when I saw it, I thought, okay, what are our shop friends doing? So I posted that in our Facebook group and asked the parents. I'm totally thinking of school. Tomorrow's the first day of school here too. But I asked our group, what are you doing? And these fine folks shared some really cool things that they are doing in their shop. And so I started thinking, why don't we do a podcast? I may actually need to move it up because like school starts tomorrow for us. So this might be a little late, but for some of you, maybe school doesn't start back until after Labor Day and you still have time. So I hope that this will be something great to help you. So all right. So thank y'all so much for commenting in our Facebook group because it was exciting to me to see what you're doing for this back to school season to support your community, be involved and engaged and helping teachers and helping students. So I want each one of you to share what it is that you either have done or what you're doing this year, because I know some of you have adjusted a little bit what you've done. So, Tonnika, share what you've done with back to school promotions there at your shop.
Absolutely. So last year was the first major year that I did it. And first, I'd like to start with telling you why. Most everybody knows that I'm officially an empty nester, but last year was the first year that I really didn't have to buy a bunch of back to school supplies. And that's always been fun for me, but it's very expensive.
Mm,
And so one of my good customers, very involved with the local elementary school and I always like donate to the little things that they do. And I just reached out because I was just in a sad like, oh, I want to buy school book bags. I want to do it. And so I just called her and I said, hey, is there any way I can help with the elementary school kids? And the social worker and the PTA president, they said, hey, we've got some kids that just can't afford to buy all of this stuff. And so I think we did about 30 backpacks. And me and my kids, well, my youngest son and his friend, we just went on Amazon, bought everything, packed up the bags, and delivered them to the school. And it was like the best feeling ever.
yeah,
So I just gave directly to the children. It was great.
I love that.
So this year, I'm going to do the same thing. Next year, I think I'll be more prepared
Hmm.
and just we'll start ahead of time. But we've got about 2 more weeks.
Yeah,
So just delivering it to the kids on open house night
yeah, that's
and
right.
just knowing that that one parent was relieved, whether they're a
Yeah,
customer or not,
yeah.
just being a blessing to someone that definitely needed it. I didn't do any branding on any of the materials that I sent over. I didn't
Hmm.
put my name on the pencils or the pens. I thought about doing that, but I just wanted to be really sincere
Yeah.
and not make it look like a marketing tactic.
Hmm.
But Even though I didn't do any of that, I got a lot of recognition that I didn't expect. I did it because I just needed to buy crayons.
Yeah.
I had to buy crayons.
That's so funny. Oh my gosh. I love what you said about that with not turning it into a marketing thing, which is totally fine. You can do that. But the thing is, people talk, right? The social worker, the teachers, they're talking about, oh my gosh, it's so nice that they did this, and it's kind of a win-win all the way around. So I just love it. And we're going to talk about the prices of school supplies in a minute. Cut. I'm gonna have to let that simmer for a minute, and we'll come back to it because I didn't put that in the talking points. However, it is a talking point, so we are definitely going to come back to that for sure. Okay, Christina, tell everybody what y'all are doing.
Sure. So I had noticed in my personal Facebook feed that several teacher friends, they were posting their Amazon classroom wish lists. And I had no plan to do this. I kind of showed up to work one day and said, "What if?" And so I made a post and I just asked teachers to share in the comments their class Amazon wish lists, and not really expecting a lot from that. Well, it kind of blew up. And we hadn't really said that we would be donating or anything. Teachers just started sharing their wish lists, and we said we would share that with our community, for others to help out, and we would, help out where we could. So we gathered about 50 different wish lists, not only locally, but, and we're in Florida, but we got, requests from California and Colorado. And at first I'm like, oh, this went a little bit farther than I intended. But on the other hand, it was like, no, we just, as Tonnika was saying, like, this really wasn't about marketing. It was about helping these teachers at Title I schools. And so many teachers have said they're not given printer paper. They don't even have pencils, and so we were able to go through a lot of these wish lists, and Harold and Beverly was able to donate. And then we had Jasper Engines and Transmissions call us up and say, "Hey, I think we would also like to get involved with what you're doing. What do you think about using some of your co-op dollars to add to, the funds to donate to teachers?" And I was like, "That's fantastic, sure." And so they added $350 to what we were doing. So then I continued to just, out of all the wish lists that we gathered, I just kept donating $5, $10, whatever we could, whatever was appropriate for each wish list. And I think we donated to all of them. And then I still found I had some money left over. So I had $100 left. I was like, okay, I saw the nominate a teacher idea that you had posted. And so I said, okay, this is for our local Sanford public school teachers only. Nominate a Sanford public school teacher. And so we had people chime in and give their nominations. And so yesterday we were able to put $100 towards a teacher's wish list here in Sanford. So that was fun. I had no plan. I didn't know what I was doing. We were just kind of throwing it together and watching it unfold. And now looking back, I now know what went well and what I would do differently for next year.
Yeah, and that is that's something I definitely want us to talk about when we just before we kind of wrap up is what you've learned and roadblocks and things like that. A lot of people know that I was a teacher in my first career, but something they do not teach you when you are in college to be a teacher is that you pay for everything. Like I never knew that. That was a big shock to me. And some schools like the PTO will get together and they give each teacher whatever, $50, $100, $150. That does nothing. And this was 20 years ago. So what y'all are doing is so impactful. And these teachers, my God, they spend so much money. It's just outrageous. So really love that. Okay, Nakia and Nate, You guys think you're going to give away maybe $12,000 this year? Like, what in the world is going on over there?
So we've already given away about half of that right now. We had an event yesterday at the neighboring county, Perry County, has a back to school bash. And so they work with Job and Family Services over there. And they have kids that, that their parents register them for the event. But then there's also kids that, they're, I would say, like, they need help. Their parents need help, but they don't qualify for some of the things that the other kids qualify for. But they still need help with, um, you know, glue sticks and pencils and backpacks and all the school supplies. So we loaded up on. I think we bought like 2,700 glue sticks and all kinds of Expo dry erase markers, paper, whether it was wide rolled, college rolled, whatever, whatever the needs were in the local districts. And we set all of that up yesterday. And we probably gave it away in less than 2 hours. There was 900 kids signed up,
980
just for
were
that
signed
one,
up.
not 980 just for that event.
Man.
And it did not last long. I mean, we had boxes of crayons and just markers, colored pencils, everything laid out on the tables, and we couldn't restock the tables fast enough.
So this was like they just came by and picked up what they wanted or needed from those boxes.
Yeah,
Uh,
That county does a really good job because those kids also, so the ones that signed up, they get a backpack with their complete school supply list provided, plus they get either a pair of Nike or Under Armour shoes, and then they get a $30 hygiene gift card to go with it. So we were kind of filling the gap for those people too. We did like the sandwich baggies because those are on a lot of lists, and Clorox wipes, backpacks for the ones who didn't get them, that sort of thing.
yeah. You-
tissues, freezer bag, all the things that were on these lists, that may not get covered otherwise.
Something people don't think about, and I'm coming at this from a personal experience. People that are friends with me know I post a lot of pictures of my great niece and nephew that live next door to me. They are 7 and 10 years old. They're living with my sister next door who's raising them. And she is disabled and has her own, so life is hard. And so Brian and I help them. And every year I've been jumping on Amazon, Children's Place, Walmart, and just placing the order for all the things and just having it arrive at their door. This year it hit me. I'm like, these poor kids don't ever get to pick out the things themselves. So I told them, I'm like, hey, I'm going to pick you up Saturday at 10 a.m. We're to go shopping. And I'm thinking, like, I remember school shopping as a kid. Like, it was we didn't have uniforms. Like, it was like full on clothes shopping and the whole deal. And God bless my mom. She had 5 kids. I don't know how she did it. I like legit don't understand it. And so I was so excited. I got up. I'm like, I'm going to bring them. This pizza place just reopened. We're going to go have lunch at the pizza place. They had no idea how excited I was. I pull up. They're not ready to go. And from our conversation, I learned they wanted nothing to do with going out there shopping and doing all that. But in my mind, I'm like, they just get what they get. I want them to pick. So I bet these kids just loved being able to come and pick. I'm saying that, but my niece and nephew were like, we didn't know it was an option. We thought we had to go. We don't want to go. So I think it's really cool that they're different, but I'm sure there were a lot of kids who were just excited, right? Smiling, happy, giggling, shopping, and you were making a big difference there. So I think that's super cool. Now you partnered with a local a nonprofit, um, Fast Lane, right?
Yeah,
What is
that's
that?
actually that's actually our nonprofit. My wife and I started it. So we kind of have we've got 10 board members, and um, Nakia and I had about 5 years of experience in a nonprofit prior to this. So we had done a couple of events, and we kind of knew what we were doing, but we took some time off from it because we had kids and life happens, and we just didn't really have time for uh, everything that we wanted to do. So we gave it a couple years, and then I had an employee who his mother had lung cancer, and another employee that came to me and asked me, do you think we can raise a little bit of money, just to put on a benefit? And so we did that, and we put on a golf outing, and within 5 weeks we raised about $32,000 for his family. And it was just amazing how the community and everybody came together. And so after that experience, I told Nakia, I said, I know we gave this up, but we have to do this again. Like I know we can do it. We have the support of the community behind us. And so that was in September of 2020, and then we filed for our 501c3 in December, and we've been kind of doing it ever since. So we do several different events. We do a winter gala, which we do that in November to raise money for um, the Perry and Fairfield County Child Protective Services. And so all of the money that we raise from that goes back into the community to kids that wouldn't normally get a great Christmas. So those events we raise anywhere around, I'm going to say $20,000 to $25,000, and then we gather all of our employees up and our board members, and we all go to Walmart and get a cart, and we go shopping on a Friday, and we've loaded all in like 2 or 3 trailers, and we divvy it up between the 2 counties, and it's been an amazing event in the last couple of years. So that's kind of how it got started. And then our golf event every year for the last couple of years has been to strictly benefit kids in the community. So we do park upgrades, we do the school supply drives. The last couple of years, last year we did not only school supplies, but we did do some. We had some grants for teachers that they could apply for, and when we would grant them different things that they wanted, just all kind for their classrooms. Yeah. So just a lot of different stuff in the community, but it's been very rewarding to be able to do all that and to be able to have the community behind us as well.
Well done. Like, you just never know what you start out thinking you're doing this one thing, and it just snowballs into, before you know it, you now have multiple events going on, and you're just supporting the community in a big way that didn't exist before. So I think that's just amazing. Y'all, I don't know about y'all, but I'm thinking of shop owners that are listening to this who are just excited and inspired. And so I'm really grateful that you're sharing all your stories. So I know, speaking of, you partnered with your foundation, and then Christina, you partnered with Jasper. Tanika, I know you did it for the first time last year. You're very close to your vendors and partners and things. Have you, in this or in any other things, have you used a vendor to partner with you on any of these? Do you have any plans of that? What do you think? Or is this getting you to thinking about who?
This is getting me to think about all of this stuff a lot more, because what I was thinking this time, with the teachers, I was going to send out a mass email and a mass text to my top 500 customers, and say, hey, a lot of us are experiencing the fact that the kids are gone, or I'm in a big retirement community. And so a lot of these people don't
Mm,
have kids, or the grandkids are older, and they might want to give.
okay.
So I'm thinking by the end of the tomorrow, I am going to compose an email and see how I can just get my customers in on this. And maybe next year I can get a couple of my vendors to divvy up some money.
Yeah.
So I'm just getting a lot of ideas from this conversation. This is all amazing
Yeah.
because it's more than just fixing cars. We're serving the community,
Mm,
and this is a different way. And these kids are going to be driving someday.
that's right. That is exactly right. For sure. And you're building those relationships or recruiting technicians. I mean, it goes both ways. What's your teams saying? Like, what are your employees? Like, what are you hearing from them? All of y'all, any of you? Like, what's your team saying about this?
I did like some staff interviews for our website and kind of just sat down with everybody and filmed them. And like one of the things I asked each one of them was, what's your favorite thing about working for Unlimited Diesel Performance? And I would say over half of them said, I love doing the Christmas event. Like that's their favorite day to come to work. But,
Yep.
they just love doing that. So I like being able to
Yeah.
let them do that.
Yeah, our guys really they love being involved in the Christmas event. I mean, it's just they love it. It kind of like makes you go back to being a kid again. They love just going down the toy aisles
Yeah.
and grabbing all this stuff, and it's really cool to be able to be a part of it in shopping and also watching them to enjoy all the stuff as well. So.
And I think on our end, it's been nice to receive the phone calls from teachers, to receive the emails from teachers saying thank you. So like when our service advisor answer the phones, she's getting a thank you, and just kind of that makes us smile. Just a little email, just knowing that we touch
Mm-hmm.
someone's life.
Yeah, in an easy way, and all hands on deck. Everybody's involved. And I know sometimes shops might run a promotion, but the rest of the team doesn't know that they're doing it. And I'm hoping that that's not the case in this situation, that shops are doing some super cool thing for back to school, but forgetting to alert the whole team that it's going on. Because when you involve everyone, you're building that team loyalty, like you were just talking about, and just that camaraderie and that community that you have in there. I've been teaching a customer loyalty class, gosh, several times now. It's now my favorite class that I teach. And there's a whole section in there where I talk about building loyalty and Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and how there's this space in that hierarchy where you just our human nature. We long to belong. We need to feel connected and like we belong somewhere, or we're a part of something. And that's exactly what y'all are doing with this. Tonnika, I know y'all are a super close knit group over there. What's your team? What'd they say about that last year? I loved your pictures of you and your boys, or your son and his friend, packing. But what the rest of the team say about it?
They didn't know about it because that was the time that I was in a cast and I was out
Oh,
of work.
right.
So they didn't know about it until after I did it.
Yeah.
But this year,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be packing by myself. So we decided we're just going to do it all here at the
Yeah.
shop. Take some time,
Mm-hmm.
put whatever on the grill, and just assemble everything here at the shop. Just shut it down and put it together at the shop, and
Yeah.
then we'll all just ride over on open house night
Right.
and present it to the kids
Yeah. Assembly
because it's,
line.
it's it's the best.
Right.
Yeah.
And what Brian laughs at me all the time because I never get quotes right and I screw up sayings, but there's that great quote about everybody helping out and light, many hands make light work. Did I get that right?
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
um
If that's not it, it's it
it's
now. Kim
close enough.
Walker.
There you go. What about, like, I know when we didn't do it for back to school, but we had our shop in North Carolina when Katrina hit our homeland of in Louisiana, which is where we are now. And we desperately wanted to do something. I don't mean to switch from back to school. I want to come back to that. But I just remember that's a whole nother big thing. But when it happened, we got surprise publicity, like the news and the local media, the newspaper. We were in a magazine. Have y'all experienced any of that yet? Have you gotten like surprise? What happened?
So For us, it was, I can't remember the hurricane, but Eastern North Carolina was really devastated, and maybe about 7 or 8 years ago. And for some reason, well, not for some reason, it's just who he is. My dad's like, I'm going down there. I'm going to take my grills, the big pit
Yeah.
cookers. If you're from the South, you know what that
Mm-hmm.
is. We're going to take the grills and we're going to cook. And we're just going to go set up in the Walmart parking lot and give everybody something to eat. So I took some pictures of that. I put that on Facebook, and we just started getting donations and donations. And I remember the next time my dad went down there, his car hauler, which I think holds about 3 cars,
Mm-hmm.
or 6 motorcycles, 3 cars, car hauler, another trailer, two dualies. They took so many donated supplies, dog food,
Mm-hmm.
toilet paper, hygiene items, everything for everybody that, was affected. They just took it down there, and my customers filled that stuff up so
Yeah.
quickly. And I'm sitting here with chills, goosebumps, just thinking about
Mm-hmm.
that time and just taking the pictures. And so the next time he wanted to do it again, there was a local restaurant that just donated so much
Yeah.
stuff. It was crazy. I wish I can remember the name right now, but it's just like the ball gets going.
Mm-hmm.
And then you realize that people are really good no matter what the news says. And so this gives me a good feeling that, it doesn't have
Yeah.
to be back to school or Christmas, just anything.
Mm-hmm.
You just get the ball
So the
rolling. It's
surprise
amazing.
publicity that came from that was just the uprising in the community.
The community just
Mm-hmm.
came
Yeah.
together, and everybody was talking about William Brown. That's my
Yeah.
dad's name. And just like, he's at it again. Then it gets on Facebook, it gets on
Right.
social media, and people start talking about it. And then the local magazines, like the little community magazines
Yeah.
and everything, pick it up. And it's like, I wasn't ready
Mm-hmm.
for all of this.
For sure.
But I'm not shy. I'm shy. I don't want to talk.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was great. I mean, it just starts from a thought
Mm-hmm.
or a gesture, and it just turned
Yeah.
into free publicity,
Yeah.
like you said. Yeah.
So have any of the rest of you experienced that from your back to school efforts? Have you gotten any good exposure that you weren't expecting?
I did send out a press release because I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, what would Kim do? And I wanted to let people know because I wanted the community to get involved. I had created the website with all the wish lists on it, so where anyone could go and choose a random wish list and donate to it. Unfortunately, I didn't hear anything back. I was a little disappointed, but I just think from our neighbors, we have this very tight knit, like downtown Sanford community.
Yep.
And just the neighbors kind of coming together and nominating teachers and sharing so and so could use some help. And so, like, it's just all these, just such a almost like a small town neighborly thing that formed online.
Yep.
So that was really
Well,
cool to
that's
see.
where I've seen a lot of the surprise publicity come from is when your social media post starts getting shared and shared and shared and people start commenting. I've seen very often where somebody tagged like a local reporter and they're like, "Hey, you got to look at this. Hey, did you see this?" I see that a lot, and that often turns into you get that phone call and they're like, "Hey, can we come and do a story or something?" So keep going because it'll happen. It'll happen. Um, what about like, this is funny to me that I'm asking this because when we had our shop, there were things we talk about this a lot. There were moments where we wanted to sponsor something or do something, and my numbers guy husband Brian is like, "You can't track the ROI on that. I don't know if we're going to do that." And he finally figured it out, and we started sponsoring things because I'd argued with him. I'm like, "No, we really need to do that." And he's like, how are we going to know if that's working? How do you know if this is working? I mean, you've all just said, "I'm going to do it again." So what prompts you to say, is it just the heart part? Like, I just know it's the right thing to do. I enjoy doing, I like doing it. Or are you seeing an actual ROI? And I know that there are times that you do things where that's not really what you're, I mean, we always want more business. Okay. But sometimes you're just doing it because it just feels good. But I am curious, have you seen an ROI from your efforts in these ways?
I think for me, I didn't really specifically go out looking for the ROI. For us, it's more about just giving back to the community and the people that have supported us,
Mhm.
and so not really doing it for that reason. If that reason follows us, if it happens, then it does. But definitely not. It's definitely not like my first agenda to look at the numbers. It's more of, it's rewarding as a business owner to have the opportunity to give back, and to be able to do the things that we want to do. And so I didn't really look at it that way.
Mhm.
I hope that it follows maybe someday, but it's not really all about that for
Yeah.
me.
Our Katrina thing that we did, very similar to what you were just talking about a few minutes ago, Tanika. w- It was years later that we were still hearing people, were asking, how'd you hear about us? And they're like, I remember that awesome thing you did for Katrina, Hurricane Katrina a couple years ago. And we're like thinking a couple of years ago, that you put, maybe this event brings lots of brand awareness to you, and it puts you in the minds of people that might not be your customer. And then they start paying attention to you. And before long, they're like, okay, I definitely need to, these are good people. I'm going to go check them out. Anybody else? Anything else about ROI and ROI doesn't, I mean, maybe it's not. I got 15 clients from that, but it could be just that feeling of we're doing good things.
Yeah, it's like I got 15 attaboys, and sometimes that's much more than money in the bank.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think for me, and it was pretty funny because I did not realize how many of my customers were at the school, and then it was open house, and so I saw that, those customers, and I guess it was like a publicity stunt. I'm sitting there with a pink cast on and a scooter, and so I'm just like, you can't miss
Yeah, you
me.
can.
And we've got these two teenage boys with this wild hair, and we're bringing in supplies, and so they saw me.
Mm-hmm.
But just the smiles on the kids' faces,
Yeah.
and then we did get some of the little their stickers because they're called the crocodiles or alligators. So I keep them at eye level on our front door.
Mm-hmm.
And so when the kids come in with the parents, they're like, "Oh, that's my school." And so just the community support is amazing. Just making somebody
Oh
smile.
man.
I wish you can pay bills with that,
Yeah, right.
but it it you can deposit that into your
But
heart for
it does
sure.
help you sleep at night. Hey, I think I need a picture of those stickers on that door, like a good picture, because that goes perfectly with what you're now a part of my customer loyalty class, because what I was just talking about, people need to feel like they have a place where they belong. So when they walk in, they're like, "Oh, this is my place." Like, you're an alligator or whatever, like that's just a super cool story. I love that.
Yeah, I have a kid that I sponsored his. I think you sponsor money and they do laps and they're raising money. So I'll say I'll give you $10. You have to do 10 laps.
Yeah.
It's probably not like that. And again, his mom is the one that I contacted when I first wanted to do the book bags, and he won a little trophy, not a trophy, but a little medal, and he bought it to me. He gave it to me. And so I have to send you a picture of that.
That,
And he's something else. That's what we're gonna call him. He's so
I
sweet.
love it.
He's not. He's the best little bad kid in the world. He comes in the shop and he terrorizes
That
everybody, and he expects me to yeah, I'm that person, like, if you don't sit down,
for
kid.
real.
So but when he brought it back to me and he wanted me to have his prize, and it's still this up on my wall, and it was just like, I cannot believe that baby thought about me while he was running around the track,
Mhm.
and he wanted me to have his
But
medal. So
who loves you more than he does? His
the
parents.
mommy, his mommy is the
When you take
best.
care of people's
Yeah.
kids, you compliment people's kids, you do nice things for them, like
So,
yeah, that's good.
so I know I've been doing this full time for 30 years, and each year I'm watching these kids that I knew were in a car seat when I met
Right.
them, and they're driving and they're graduating, and they're going to college. Like, I've got two right now, a set of twins, Jake and Lucas, and both of them are getting their car service.
Mhm.
Lucas is on the way to Florida to go to school. His mom's having a fit, and she's like, "How are you doing with the empty nest?" Like, watching these kids
Yeah.
grow. So even though we might not see it right now,
Mhm.
you're like, okay, what can I benefit from making a 5-year-old
Yep.
smile? They're going to be
That's
driving,
right.
and their mama's going to remember that, and they're going to well, they remember Miss Tanika.
Yep.
my service advisor, she said, "You have so many babies." I do have a lot of
Yeah.
babies that are adults now. It's hilarious. So
Uh-huh.
it works. It pays off. It might not pay off in the next 3 to 6 months, but
Yeah.
there
No,
is a
but it
return
will
on that
for
investment.
sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We get some private messages sometimes, like Facebook or text messages, and be like, hey, I heard of this need in the community, and I know you guys do stuff like that. So, like, I feel like that legacy has maybe been built a little bit as a giver. And I think if you can be perceived as a giver, what better way to be perceived? You know what I mean?
Mm. That is so good. That's going to be a clip by itself right there. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. Like that is good stuff. I every time y'all talk though, I keep thinking about the impact this is having on your team members too though. Like all the great stuff that's happening out there, but you're creating an environment where your team trusts that they're going to be able to be part of doing something really super cool. And that's just something, we're all in this. It's so funny to me that this industry is so close and tight knit, and that there's so many people outside of it that don't even know that it exists. They don't even know that this is a world that you could be a part of. And meanwhile, they're not doing any of this stuff, right? It's because they just don't even know to do it. So you're leading the industry, your community. It's just awesome. Let's talk about the problems, like the roadblocks, the issues that you have experienced that could cause some people to say, I'm not ever doing this again. But really, truly, it's just a bump in the road. And now you know, and so you won't do that again in the future, or you'll pivot some kind of way. So what are some of the things that you didn't think about going in, and just issues that popped up?
For us, we thought it would be easy to get money into teachers' hands for their projects and their needs for their classrooms, and it's way harder than you think. A lot of our local school districts basically forbid them from receiving any sort of outside funding or outside projects, and say, the school taxes and levies provide for that, and the school district itself provides for that. So they weren't allowed to receive anything from us, nor were they allowed to even apply for our grants. So we took that feedback and kind of invested more into school supplies and allotted less for community grants this year, because it was so hard to get teachers what they need.
Let me ask you this: are the systems providing for the teachers?
I can't really answer that because my kids they're in elementary school. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I can't really give you an honest answer on that, but I hope so, because we are trying to help
Yeah.
them, and they basically told us that we don't need your help. We've our teachers have everything, and um, it's kind of hard to believe, because I know that we have teachers that are personal friends that would love to be able to take, part in a grant system like that, and be able to have projects that, maybe I guess the problem is the school has to approve the projects. And so, getting that approval, may be difficult or whatever, but the teachers are trying to stay within the curriculum, but they might want to do a fun activity, like a butterfly garden or whatever it is, and it was stuff that we thought that would be like super easy for us to put those kinds of things in the teachers'
Yeah.
hands. And it just turned out that we just had such a difficult time with it. We did do a couple. We did have one in a district that was close to us that the lady was able to apply for mental health awareness. I forget what
It
all
was a suicide prevention program.
yeah, and it was student led, I believe. Yeah, and so we did help with that. And then we had another teacher in another district that we supplied. Some different, like on the back of the kids' chairs, they had like organizers, and there was just some different things that she wanted in her classroom that would help out. And so we were able to do a couple of different things, but it didn't amount to what our vision for it was. We're going to go out and make a huge difference in these teachers. And then it just kind of backfired on us a little bit. So
the public
but
schools were harder, but we did get money in the hands when we opened it up to like Catholic schools or private schools, because we did STEM field trips for them and paid for their busing and for the admission and that sort of thing.
Right.
So that was a little easier.
Right. So you ended up pivoting and just helping the kids directly. So that's awesome. Tonnika, did you have any issues?
No, not yet.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely listening to make sure.
Right. What about you, Christina? Did you run into any issues?
I wouldn't say they were issues or problems. It was just like, okay, how could I have done this better, more efficiently, more effectively? Because this was literally me waking up one morning and just throwing it out there. And so having a plan, being realistic about the outcome, just, and I think, depending on the size of your shop, I'm a marketing director at the shop, so I have a little more time to devote to this. So being realistic about, what you can help with, where you can help, how much you can help with. And I know, like, I put it out on social media. I was collecting all these wish lists. I think next year I might create a form just to have a little more formal, so I know exactly where these teachers are coming from. I get accurate wish list links. And then, because then I went and transferred that all on the website and everything. So it was a little bit more cumbersome. So just seeing those areas where I can streamline it and do better. And then when Jasper hopped on, it's like, oh, okay, well then how can we maximize this? How can we, contribute even more? And then knowing next year when this time comes around, preparing the team for that and saying, what can we do? How far can we take this?
Right.
So just,
yeah, we've taught a class. I'm actually going to pitch it to another group tomorrow, where it's all about events and marketing and creating your events and, the checklist and all of the organization of it. And in there, just thinking through and planning ahead, one of the things that we really push to people is thinking about the process and tightening it, making it more efficient, and partnering, and really just looking at it before you get into the event, and picturing it and visualizing all of the all the different gears that are turning and all the people you get to talk to. But the main thing that we push is just get started. We always say done is better than perfect. Like, don't feel like you have to jump in and do some big elaborate thing. Like, just do one thing, get it started. Tonnika was laid up on her sofa last year and not able to work in the shop. And here she is like, I'm just going to pack some backpacks, and that just started something, and it triggered something in your heart that said, I really like this. I want to do it again. Any other issues that popped up, or any other, I would do this differently next time, that anybody wants to share? What about the shop owner that's listening right now, who says, I don't have the budget for that. We're too small. I'm not ready for this kind of thing. What do you say to them?
I say it doesn't matter how big or how small you are, just start somewhere. I mean, just start with a small gesture. It doesn't matter. I mean, just getting out there and doing it.
I actually, this was earlier this year, had a teacher reach out to us. We had donated to an honor roll event at a local elementary school. And a teacher wrote an email thanking us for that, and then asking if we had any like extra promo items, kind of pens that we weren't using, notepads, and even from other companies that we've collected over 65 years. And I put together a box of just pens that we had around, some extra computer paper that we had, some notepads, with our name on it or with other business names on it, collected all of that. She came by and picked it up, and she was so thankful and so appreciative, because they just didn't have the means or the access just to notepads and pens and stuff like that. And so even if you think that you don't have anything to give, you just might want to even like look around, like, oh, these notepads that we aren't using that are, stacking up over here in the corner, that means the world to somebody.
Yeah, for sure.
We all, if we're all honest, we probably have a little bit of extra time that we can give. So if you can't monetarily give, maybe you could start volunteering at someone who already has a program running, and those could be networking opportunities for someone. But if we're all honest, we probably all have an hour or two that we could give towards something.
Yeah.
Especially in something that you're passionate about.
And I don't know how many of you have like automotive schools nearby. Like our local high school, they have an automotive program. The community college down the street has an automotive program. And we have a bunch of old tools laying around. We have some manuals and stuff. And so I've reached out to them as well to see if that's anything that they need. We have tools that are from the 60s, and not that they're actually going to use that in the future, but might be cool to look back at and say, oh, wow, this is where auto repair was, and how, kind of simple it was back then. And here's, how it has evolved over time.
All right.
Just to piggyback on what you're saying about the local automotives, because we do have Chapel Hill High School does a great job. And so I have had a Nissan Sentra that's just been sitting here at the shop growing grass under it. And I haven't lost any money. The customers just like forget it, gave me the title, and I never had time to deal with it. It's a manual transmission. And I just remember last month, actually after school let out, I say, hey, can you guys do anything with this car? He said, absolutely. So I am so excited. In the next 2 weeks, I'm going to have it towed out there to the high school and let them do whatever they can do with it. I mean, anything can help. And even if you don't want to do something like that and you want to go back into the elementary school or high school, middle school, they can always use proctors for test. That parents don't volunteer for that anymore. So doing SAT or standardized tests, they need someone sit there. Of course, you have to go through the, the hoops to make sure, you're not criminal and you can go into the schools. But, just an hour here or there, and you don't have to give out a lot of marketing material. You just go in there with your shirt on, and the kid sees you, and the kid that loves trucks and Legos and tearing stuff up and taking it back apart, you don't know what kind of light you might turn on to that kid's head. Like, oh, look, it's the Mr. Mechanic man or the Mr. Mechanic lady. Because I went to the local high school, the girls chapter. I had no idea they existed.
Yeah.
And it was about 30 girls that came in on the lunchtime to meet other females in the automotive industry. And they were just wild that we existed and that there was a place. And that was just an hour of my time. And I took, the notepads and the pens and some of the swag and got a lot of emails about potential jobs and what can I do about this? What do you think about that? So yeah, there's so many opportunities to get out there and market in different ways. It's amazing.
Even just reading aloud a book to an elementary school classroom. I mean, bring your favorite little kid car related book and read, and you're planting seeds in there, and they just love it. They love sitting down with people just reading to them. So start small, do the little things, they'll build up to be something just incredible. So look, go post in the group, what is your favorite kids elementary book related to cars and vehicles and whatever. So see, let's see.
Little blue truck.
Look, see, I don't even know about that. I love it.
It's like super popular.
All right. Little blue truck.
There's lots of little blue truck books.
Wow. All right. And I'm a boy mom. I don't know about this. Okay. Must be since our kids have been growing up, Tonnika. All right. Any other last
I could
words?
probably recite one right now.
Oh my gosh. That is funny. Any other last words before we head out?
I would just say, keep your finger on the pulse of your community. I'm sure in where you are, there's Facebook groups, and just join some of those and see what the needs are.
I was just going to say something very similar. Just, be active in the community and, just to reiterate, just start small and, it doesn't have to be some big extravagant thing. But just, get out there and, do the best you can with what you've got and just be in the community supporting the kids and you'll be recognized for that, whether it's directly or indirectly. People talk and the word will get around that you're out helping kids and doing the right thing. So
For sure. Well, friends, thank you so much. We like literally, y'all, those listening, this just came up like this week. This just happened in our Facebook group within the last week, and it hit me. Let's do a panel, and we are missing two of our friends, Lauren Benoit and Joseph Schindler, and they just had some things come up at the last minute and weren't able to be in here, but there's we're going to put in the show notes the link to this conversation in the Facebook group that prompted this, so you can go see, because they posted graphics and examples of the pictures that they took and all this great stuff. So it should really fuel your fire. Hopefully you are leaving inspired from this conversation thinking, oh, wow, I can do this, or I can do this, or I can partner with this person, or whatever it might be. So really appreciate y'all taking some time this week to join me here. I know it was super last minute, but let me also thank our listeners for tuning in again to the Auto Repair Marketing Podcast on the Aftermarket Radio Network. There are some other great shows on the network, and you can find them at aftermarketradionetwork.com or on your favorite podcast listening apps like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and all the others. Tune in for another episode next week. Until then, go fill those bays.